Good afternoon, everyone. Excuse me, and welcome to Talking Horses. Paul Verderosa and Andy Serling as we kick off Wood Memorial Week here at Aqueduct. We have a Pick 6 carryover, which we'll get to as well, and get a chance to look at the Wood card.
I'm looking forward to all the stakes races. I think they came up really solid, all of them. I mean, you could pick and choose which one you like. The Wood came up great with a full field. Post gods weren't too kind to Uncle Heavy. Better
I
to
know. I
deterministic,
felt bad for Uncle Heavy. I know.
But I mean, even the Bayshore too. I mean, look at a horse like Maximus Meridius. See if he can get back on track. You know, after being used up in the lead in the Gotham.
Well, they ran very well in the Gotham.
Yeah. So Gazelle came up good. See what Where's My Ring does from the inside. The Maiden. See how she fares. Carmelina ran well too against Jody's Pride last time out. So the Distaff.
Could be a maiden that's favored in the Gazelle. Probably should be a maiden that's favored in the Gazelle.
Yeah, I mean, numbers. She's run well.
Yeah, she's been running well.
So, I mean, the Distaff's a good race, too. You got the two Linda Rice horses in there, too, and Carter.
You know, it's funny with the Carter. There's only 5 in the Carter. There's only 8 in the Commonwealth. And I was thinking about it a lot. The sprint division, and I was hearing that the Count Fleet, which I know is always a big race at Oaklawn, not particularly supposed to come up a big field from what I had heard. Now, I don't know that's necessarily because I think it's next weekend. I'm not sure. We'll, of course, be showing it. There just aren't any. I mean, you think about the top 2 sprinters in Elite Power and Gunite last year. Well, they're retired, and I just don't know who the heck there is to sort of pick up the mantle.
Yeah, it's like who's left, and then the fields come up small too. So you wonder when you see some of these races.
They just aren't.
Yeah,
who are they? Who are the horses
stepping up? I mean, even a race like the Carter too. You look at and you know.
Well, it's competitive. It's a very competitive race. There's no horse there that can't win. But there is not a name in the sprint division right now.
That's
not a single name.
Yeah, not compared to what we've had.
Well,
no, for sure, I agree.
Well, I mean, I think the sprint division has been kind of weak for many years, actually, or thin. But now, I don't know if it's thin. It's almost non-existent at the top level.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with the races that, you know, for the Carter and then what goes forward. And then usually somebody will start to step up as we get towards the summer.
Who is the 3-year-old from last year that's going to step up? That's the thing. I guess it's the Speedboat.
Yeah.
Was Speedboat Beach?
Speedboat Beach, yeah. So
has he run yet this year?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And that's another thing too. You start
and he can't run in the Churchill Downs handicap.
Yeah. So there's no other. Yeah, I mean, you can run here. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen really anybody step up. We'll see this weekend what happens too. I'm interested. Post time interests me though because I want to see if that horse can replicate.
He's run 2 big figures out of town. No, I agree. He could be he continues to run those figures. He's going to be a major player in the sprint division. No question about it.
And I'd like to see how the track plays out too. I like Super Chow better at 6 than 7, but if the horse gets loose, I mean, we've seen that
he is the main speed in a 5-horse field.
Race. It came up nice. The card came up really good.
Card's terrific. The 7th race allowance race is a very, very strong race. I agree. I actually, my picks are on the website actually for Saturday if anybody cares. Let's head over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, get over there. Get over there. Check out the picks. Check it all out. Bonus 200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Use the promo code. You can check out Track Stats when you sign up for NYRA Bets. You can check them out anyhow over at nyrabets.com. We have a carryover, as we mentioned, $42,323. That starts in race number 3, a healthy carryover after Saturday's card, after the somewhat controversial DQ. You know, I was upset about it and surprised by it. It cost me a few dollars. But then I found out a good friend of mine, who, unless he wants me to say it, I'll remain nameless, got put up for the pick 5 for $13,000, and suddenly I felt good about it. I didn't agree with the call, but I was happy because it was a lot more money than I was going to win, that's for sure. So that was, you know, listen, somebody's going to benefit from it. I was glad it was at least one friend of mine. What else do we have? We have cross-country pick 5. 2 at Aqueduct, 6 and 8, interspersed between 6, 7, and 8 at Oaklawn, and all those races will be shown as we are now back to the full-day broadcast. The team is assembling. Acacia's back in town. We'll be on from 1 to 6 today. Now, Oaklawn, we'll talk about that. Oaklawn's going back to 3 days a week next week for the last 4 weeks of the meet, I believe. The big 3, pick 3, you could bet a pick 3 with the Wood Memorial, the Bluegrass, and the Santa Anita Derby. Of course, all those races were drawn. There's Bluegrass on Tuesday and Santa Anita Derby yesterday along the Wood. It's a $3 minimum. That'll be Saturday, involving all 3 of those big races. I know we've done it in the past. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And we also have the show, 1 to 6. 1 to 6, covering all our action, and Oaklawn as well. Race numero uno. What you doing here?
Oh, I went to Chad Brown.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a second. I think we'll start with Cheryl's Delight, because that's the first one of the replays. And as far as Cheryl's Delight, I bet this horse last time. This was quite an equine chandelier act. Did lose to a sort of wise guy connection first-time starter. That was under a drive for the entire running of the race, actually, which is always sort of a great way to lose. Looked out of the race won, but a horse under a drive from the start to the finish managed to run down the closer. Do you think this horse has had enough trainers?
Yeah, I mean, this horse is just switching barns like crazy. Now
Yeah,
back with Mike
who
Baker
next?
again. Yeah.
Who's in line? Do they have just like a line?
Yeah, I mean, who can we
I
can
don't
just
know.
pick one out.
I don't know. I don't know who's next. But you'd rarely see a horse that hasn't changed hands, trained by 6 different trainers. Now has Mike Baker back. Mike, you're back in the fold. I do think this horse is the horse to beat, but that hang last time worries me.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to complain. I picked the winner out of the race we just saw last time out, but I wonder if. I mean, this is it. Like for this horse, like can this horse actually move forward? I mean, we think we've seen enough of her right now to know that this is what she is.
Does she need to move forward to win here?
Not by much, I don't think, but
Maybe not by any.
I don't know.
Well, you're
man.
picking a horse that's coming off a 15-month layup that ran 67 buyers, and we'll take a look at her last race, I think, at Gulfstream Park, and she lost at 3-5 in here. Chad Brown's not supposed to lose at 3-5. He does have exceptional numbers, which we'll show you afterwards, with horses coming off of extreme layoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I know this horse is not going to be much of a price, and as you mentioned, Chad does have those numbers coming off layoffs like this. I mean, this horse should probably be the speed in here, and I just figured that this horse was going to be forward, and with any slight improvement in this race, if Cheryl's Delight pulls another hang job, I would think that this is the horse to beat in this race, but you have to contend with the layoff. And I mean, if you dig back, I mean, the horse has run against better horses than these on its face in the races that it's come out of.
But she also has a pair of losing efforts at short prices for a trainer that tends to win at short prices. Now, the stat, 3 of 8 of those were maidens. So he wins with these kind of horses.
Yeah.
They're not huge prices, but they win. I disagree with you that she's going to be the speed in here. I believe I've picked the speed in this race. But she should be forward at the very least in here. Like I said, I'm not going to be surprised if she wins.
Yeah.
But I like Dreams She Dreams. It's very strange to see a filly entered against the boys as a first-time star in an allowance race. And I'll tell you something. I think she has speed. She showed speed in that race. She also raced on what I think was a rail that was extremely suspect that day. And the rider eased her in the last 8 to 3/16 of a mile when she was hopelessly beaten. He didn't. No shenanigans. She just was hopelessly beaten, and he eased her up. So the margin of defeat is more significant than I think it could have been. She was on a rail that I don't believe you wanted to be on, running against the boys in a non-winners of 1X race. I'm going to take a shot with her in this race against a horse off a long layoff at a short price and a horse that hangs like a chandelier.
She'll be the better price of those 3 for sure that we've talked about out of those 3. So I have her 4th.
You obviously don't like her at all. That's fine.
I have her 4th in here. I just
4th is not liking her in a 6-horse field. It's okay,
Yeah,
Paul.
no.
You don't have to like
listen,
her.
No. I get it. Bruce Brown's. I don't think he's had like terrific numbers when it comes to second-time starters. Just get Javier. It's nice to see Javier.
What do you think the average price of Bruce's second-time starters were?
Oh, probably prices, for no
Okay,
doubt.
how many of them were coming out of running against the boys and non-winners of 1, raced on dead rails, eased up? I mean, you got to be careful about using numbers for second-time starters with trainers that are starting 25-1 shots all the time.
Listen, biases do matter. This horse may run very well again. I'm just not in her camp today.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, see what happens. Race number 2. Race number 2, Solib. Solib is back. We'll take a look at Solib, trouncing Diva Dancer. Quite a few starts back for her in her last start. I'm not a big fan of this horse. Linda's numbers are pretty good when she lays them up 2 to 4 months coming off of claims in the dirt. I just don't think she's much horse, but obviously she can win.
Yeah, she can win here. I'm not. I have her 3rd today.
She is the controlling speed, potentially.
That bothers me because I'm just worried if she shakes loose in here, what's going to happen.
I think that makes her dangerous.
Yeah, for sure. And I know it's first off for Linda, but sometimes you see Linda kind of bring these horses back. I mean, it's at the same level. Sometimes she drops them. Sometimes she doesn't. I don't know. I'm not her biggest fan. This horse, she can win in here, but I'm just looking at some other options.
Numbers are pretty good. Or 30% when she gives them a little time off the claim. And Saturday, obviously, we've had, for anybody around here knows how horrendous the weather has been the last couple of days. Now, the track is listed as good, which means it's harrowed.
Yeah.
The good news is we weren't racing, so they're able to tightly pack it down. So now, it's interesting. When we came back from this debacle, we had rain last week.
Yeah.
The track was fine Thursday and Friday. And then Saturday, out of nowhere, with no change of weather, we saw as extreme a speed bias, anti-closer bias as I think we've seen. I think closers were hindered. I think speed horses were helped. And, so it's hard to know what we're going to have, but the track is drying out.
Yeah.
So, which is good to see. But I don't know. It'll be tougher to completely dry out, though, with no sun out.
Yeah, it's
Little
breezy
windy.
out today,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's not. Listen, coming in today, I thought it was going to look worse than it actually did because we got a lot of rain around here. Again, it's a weekly thing around here.
It's been.
It's like
the
Seattle
last
East,
2
but
days were just ridiculous.
But it
I didn't
looks
want to leave the house.
decent shape. I mean, for the amount of water that it probably took.
Okay, so you have the 4 April Antics on top, who I agree. I think she's kind of the worst to beat in here. I'm not sure she's not supposed to be favored.
Yeah, I mean, she drops in here. She makes sense. I mean, she was claimed at a low level anyway when you go back to, last year and stuff like that. So the only question I have with her is hopefully, I know she's had some problems with some lead changes lately too. Hopefully she finds a better spot in here, gets into gear a little bit quicker. But on the drop down, I mean, I just thought she was the horse. I took the 2 drop downs in here, 1-2. I thought they were logical
I don't
horses
have
to
any
me.
knock on April Antics, except
Yeah.
I thought she'd be a short price, and I thought My First Love would be a better price in here. Now, there is a chance with My First Love that she just can't run anymore, and Jimmy Farrar is making the appropriate drop with her. She's been way over her head, but she actually finished ahead of April Antics last time while not running, and I've always had a thing for this horse. If she can remember any semblance of the horse that she once was, she's going to win. The 3, 4, and 5 are the major players here. We just have them in a slightly different order. Race number 3. Well, we'll see. Oh, there it is. Oh, Eddie, you're so sharp. You're so on top of your game. You can go back to eating that lunch that you didn't share with your friend Andy. That pick 6 carries over, kicks off in race number 3, $42,323. Race number 3, those picks up for race 3. Take your time, Eddie. I know you're eating. I don't want to interrupt. Or you already ate. Dessert. So I have best bet 4th. You've left best bet completely out.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what he does in here. This was a ridiculous field he beat, and I also think speed was a big advantage in there. The truth is, he could win this race from memory. I feel like he's going to get pressure from Patient Capital, and I just don't really trust this horse. That was a total dump job by Brad Cox.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everything you said. I think speed was very good this day. I think this horse had a very hungry field and one like this horse should have, and obviously gets claimed out of that race. But this was a total drop down for Brad that didn't run that well to start before that for 40, and now comes into this field, and Patient Capital should be right with this horse, running with this horse early anyway. So I think it's not going to be easy for this horse. This horse can win, obviously, if Patient Capital lets this horse get loose, but for today, not for me.
What do you like about Harvard?
Dropping in class today, getting back to a better distance. I think that was a much tougher spot last time for this horse, now second off the layoff. And we've seen this horse run very good numbers before. I don't think the 1-turn mile matters for this horse at all. David's horses, we've seen no rhyme or reason to them. David's Barn's been going very well again.
Well, no. What David's Barn did was have a miraculous day on Saturday.
Yeah.
They won 5, won on a preposterous DQ, but still all the other horses ran, and even the horse that was put up, even though he probably shouldn't have been, still was a big price, and he outran his odds being with the track or not. So you have to wonder. And David, to me, is a very hard guy to read. I've got the horse second for the reasons you mentioned, but I don't trust this horse.
It's hard to trust anyone in here,
No
really.
running at all last time.
I mean, when you look at this field as a whole, though, it's hard to trust anybody. Like, you can't really just say, I trust this one horse in here.
But he's a hard horse to trust because, yes, it was a tougher field last time, but he had a pretty easy trip way things went, and he just had absolutely no run whatsoever.
Yeah, but this is also an easier spot, too, and I think a better distance for him.
I get it. Look, I've got him second. I'm not arguing with you. I'm not a fan of Patient Capital. We found a trainer stat for what it's worth. I'm a fan of Horacio de Paz. None of these were off the claim, and he did claim this horse last time for what it's worth of 6 to 12 month layoffs. This horse is off for 8 months. He has poor numbers, and the other thing is that picture of Horacio. Horacio, we need a better picture.
Yeah. He needs a much more better shot. He needs a GQ shot. He needs a better shot.
It looks like he could be in the middle of some nefarious in that picture. It looks like he could be like 12 in that picture, I think. Well, he was shaving, so I don't know if he was 12. But I also, another thing I don't like about this horse? There's no waiver.
Yeah, they put him in for the tag. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a negative. He could be forward in here. You've got him second, though. You like him a lot more than I do.
He's going to be forward in here. He's faced better, and I just feel like you know, if you look at that last race, I know he didn't run good at all in his last race.
No, he ran
favored.
extremely badly.
Yeah, I mean, but everyone, I know it's been a long time
And
ago.
he's been
since
off
the race.
8 months after running really badly.
Everyone came out of that race to improve their buyer for what it's worth. I mean, I know it's not worth much now all this time later, but I just think having some outside speed in here may help him out a little bit, being able to sit with best bet or just off of best bet. And, I mean, listen, I don't trust anyone. To be honest with you, I could use everybody in here and feel, you know.
What about Midnight Trouble? Race 2 back. He had a good trip in here, not as good a trip as the winner, who's kind of a bit of a phony and has run lousy in 2 or 3 races since then.
Yeah.
He was biased, beaten by the bias. He's run some good races, and I'm not sure I mind the cut back to a mile with him.
No, drops, cuts back. This race was fine. If he runs back to this race, it's be tough in here against this group.
Also, there's an argument that he was on a dead rail last time out. So I think you can make a viable excuse for his last race. I think he's dangerous in this race on the cutback. I like Narcisco Dali in here. You look at the races he's been in. Last time out, Cup was able to wire the field. It's also a muddy, sealed track, and we don't have the same kind of racetrack today. The race before that, he was just running in a much, much better field in there. And I thought, you know, you look at those horses involved in the pace in there, not the race collapsed completely, but still, I think you look at his races, he's just been running against tougher fields, and I think Chris Engelhardt's dropping him down into a much more realistic spot today, so I like his chances.
Yeah, much tougher, and I don't even hold the last start against him because he ended up very wide last time, so he got pushed very wide, and also...
And the pace held together in his last start either.
You know, and he's got better races to go back to in here, and I also believe, too, they realized he's not going to win an allowance race here either, so this is the right spot for him to drop back to a level like this.
So race number 4, that was quite a set of scratches in race number 4. They really managed to find the top 3 contenders to scratch out of this race. And I guess we all scratched into the even money Screaming Uncle, who now be about 2 to 5 in here. I probably should have picked somebody else because he's no bargain, but
no,
he's in these drop downs for Linda Rice, and they usually win.
Yeah,
it's tough to endorse this guy at 3 to 5 or less.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, but with what's left in here, it's just, you know, I wanted to originally make a case for Run DMC in here, thinking he was just going to get out front and wire these.
The speed.
It's still possible that might happen, but I don't know. Now with scratches and everything else that's happened, I mean, Screaming Uncle's just supposed to beat these horses. I know he was bad the last 2, but it's been against better horses, so I don't really have much to say after that.
No, I mean, Darkening Power isn't impossible
yeah.
with the horses that's left in here. Problem with her is he doesn't really have the races. I agree. And the problem with Run DMZ is his one big win was at Finger Lakes in the mud.
Yeah.
I don't have any guarantee that he's really much horse, but with Ray, I guess he could get it done. It was a much more interesting race, and Screaming Uncle is a flawed heavy favorite, but the likeliest winner by quite a bit.
Yeah, I had Screw Loose on top before the scratches, so I was kind of in the 2 and 3 camp before this all happened.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with the late pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. Paul and Andy, as we go through the late pick 4 on this card with a carryover. 42,000 to pick 6 starts in race 3. And we both picked Dolce Veloce. I'll let you talk about her.
This just might be the right field today for her. I know that she hasn't shown much, you know, versus maiden special weight kinds, and really doesn't finish off her races too well all the time, but if she runs back to the race that she ran for the $40,000 tag, she's going to be awfully tough in here from the inside post. It's just I think it's the right field today for her, too.
Yeah, I mean, she's the drop down as opposed to the horse we're looking at here, Accelerina, and I'm not sure there's supposed to be that big a gap between their prices. Accelerina has run figures that are very, very similar. I feel like Dolce Veloce was doing against better horses and probably doing a little more running. At least she was forward. She's supposed to be forward again today. We'll see how much pressure Mangia puts on her. But Accelerina, I guess, is okay in here. The one thing I don't like is the horse that beat her in here. I know that she was an all-time they knew, kind of a silly sort of take-a-shot horse. I know she was picking up Joel Rosario. But she went off at way too short a price. She had previously run 22 and 26 buyers, and she ran a 57 buyer in this race. And, Miss Fashionista, the horse who beat her the race before and beat Malou. And I know Malou came back to win, but Miss Fashionista came back and ran a little bit lower in her subsequent start. I just wonder if those races are a little bit dressed up. But the figures suggest that she and Dolce Veloce are very similar in their chances to win here.
Yeah, the figures suggest she can win. I just have seen enough of Accelerina to know that she's just not win. And listen, like I said, this might be the right group again today if Dolce Veloce doesn't run, but I don't know. Accelerina is just tough for me to take in this spot.
And
here.
Zen, Lou, and Manji are coming out of, respectively. I mean, they ran both in the Starkey race.
Yeah.
I can't take anybody that ran that race, so you're sort of left with those two. The others are a little tough to make. Saratoga Smoke Show is going to try the dirt again, but didn't do any running on it, and we'll see if that's a horse that can handle her. There's a Chris Engelhardt first-time starter. Maybe we shouldn't ignore that horse completely.
Yeah, I have her third in here.
It's not going to take a Herculean effort to win this race.
No, not really. And I mean, the Dam was a sprinter. The Sibs won sprinting. I mean, it was nothing major.
They were bad.
Yeah, they were bad.
They were all bad.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just, when you look at this field, I mean, when you get past...
They were worse than this field.
Yeah, well, I mean,
They were.
Well, I mean,
They were
but if you don't like Accelerina and Dolce Veloce doesn't show up, I mean, where are you going? I would rather take my shot with a first. I mean, I guess unless you think like Zen Lou's going to come back and run that race out of that.
I don't
race.
like either one of the two outside horses, but doesn't mean they can't win. Race number 8. I copped out in race number 8 with Cinderella's Cause, who I know she's Linda and she's dropping her a little off the claim, but it's not that substantial. She's been running against significantly better horses. She'll be a short price. You don't like her at all. What do you dislike about her?
This just stinks to me, dropping this horse again a little bit. I know she's the class of the field, but this just bothers me. I mean, because even last time, I mean, it's you just don't. I mean, I don't know. She's
You don't
one
think
for,
her last race would make her tough in here? Obviously not.
I mean, I guess, but I just kind of feel like she is what she is at this point. And I know it's been against better, but shouldn't she have ran better last time, even on the drop? I mean, maybe she just doesn't like it here because she's 1 for 14 over the track.
Divine Cross was in very good form and ran well to be second. The pace held up in there. I don't think she ran great, but I still think she ran well enough to win here. I'm not going to sit here and brag about the merits of a 7-5 shot. I just like her a lot more than you. And you talk about the drop. Well, she's going in for 12-5, so if she gets claimed and Linda loses
still
her,
make out a little bit,
and even if she runs second in this race, she's going to wash her hands. So
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, but I don't think it's a significant drop. It's not like claiming for 40 and running for 16 where you're going to lose money. If the horse wins and gets claimed, she's going to do well. I mean, they'll make over $10,000. So I don't know.
I don't know. I might be very wrong in here. And listen, my horse
It's
may
fine.
not even be
You don't
fast
have
enough
to
to
like
win.
her.
I mean, my horse may not even be fast enough to win in here. But
We'll get to her. First, we'll look
Yeah.
at Cupid's girl, that David Jacobson dropped down. I don't know exactly what to do, how much I trust this horse. But the way Jacobson Barnes going and all these things, and this is the race 3 back where she won, if she can run back to this effort, she's a contender in here. And with David, you never know what you're going to get, but you might get a winning effort.
the only question that I have for her is, do you think she can get the mile? That's the only question I have for her. I mean, she's
Her
run
last
well.
race was no worse than her race at 6 furlongs. So
yeah, I mean,
was
that's
it the
true,
mile
too.
or is she just losing her form?
Well, that's
and with
a
Jacobson,
valid
they can
question.
lose it, they can get it back at the drop of a hat. I just never know what to do.
Yeah. No, I agree
I'm
with
not in
you.
love with this horse,
Yeah.
but she can win.
I guess
never
she
know
can
her.
too. Yeah, I guess she can too. I don't know.
Well, look at Joey the Fish. This is her winning 3 back. The question to her, do you think she'll get enough pace? You obviously do.
I'm hoping she does. I mean, maybe
She might.
Listen, I mean, even when you look at the start back in December, I mean, she was closer than she ever was in that race. It was by
She's not going to be close to
No,
this
she's
race.
not today, but I'm just saying it was by race dynamic that she was. I don't know if she's going to get the pace she needs, but if the race starts to come back, especially with a horse like Jolly Miss Jill, or if Cupid's Girl shows a little bit of speed, or, Vegas
Pace
Weekend's
Projector
chasing.
has this as a quick pace.
Yeah.
So.
So I mean, if the race comes back to her, she can run late and pick these horses up. And I don't trust some of the bigger names in here, so I landed on a price in her in here.
I have her in here because she can close, and the pace should be honest, and I don't like a lot of horses in here. I'm not sure what to do with her because the problem is and that was ideal circumstances, and she was lucky to win. The second horse ran clearly the best race in there, is where is her figure that wins it? And she's had some ideal circumstances and still runs a 60 buyer. And I don't really think a 60 is going to win here. It might, but I feel like the 2, the 8, and also the 5, who you have third and I have fourth, Jolly Miss Jill. I mean, I don't love her, but she might have found herself in the right spot. I think there is a significant question of whether or not she can run at all anymore. But her last race off the claim for Wayne Potts does put her in the hunt. Is she a Linda Rice horse, though, that can round back, ex-Linda horse can round back into form? That's what concerns me with her. But she can win.
Yeah, and she's at a more realistic level today. She should be forward in here.
But if she's forward, is the pace going to be contentious?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a good question. I think it's a good little race, especially if you don't trust. Like, I don't really trust some of these horses that are going to be.
Well,
short
you have
priced
Vegas
today.
Weekend second. What's your argument for her?
First off, the claim. She got the worst of it last time too when Vintage went extremely wide. So I don't hold that race against her. The only question I have with this horse too
That
is
was a bad race last time.
I get it, but she got pushed about into the middle of the racetrack and beyond. I just wonder if the horse has seen better days in here. I want to just give this horse.
She was bad last time. She got pushed out because she couldn't get her position. If she had any horse, she wouldn't have got pushed out because she would have got by those horses.
Well, Vintage also blew the turn too.
I know,
right, to the
but
top
she
of the
was,
stretch,
but she was like just sort of lumbering
she was
along there.
She was there. I just want to give this horse one shot. I think this horse is going to be a little bit of a price here, and I just don't trust the 8 because I just think that little bit of a drop just stinks because I think Linda would run the horse.
Well, she's the
probably in a
second
better
choice
spot.
in the line. So
but I think but
well, you don't like the favorite, which is
Yeah.
fine. I mean, I'm not in love with the favorite, but there's nobody else in here that I want to endorse, so I'm not going to pick against the favorite. But I do understand she is a bit tough to take. Race number 7. The race number 7 was a fun race.
Yeah.
A horse that you and I are both going to try to beat. I've got a 4th, and you have Nowhere is Disarmed, who I thought was a very fortunate winner last time, was able to control on the front end. But don't you worry a little bit that this horse can control again today?
It'll be interesting to see what horses like Listen to Your Heart or Spun in One do in here, and it'll be interesting to see too if Joey Freshwater gets sent from the outside. I just wonder if this horse
Still
is
not fast enough to necessarily be on this horse. This horse is pretty quick.
Yeah, no, the horse is pretty quick out of the gate. It's hard to knock a horse that's won 3 out of 4. He's a little light on figures, but he's got to move forward in a tougher spot today. I mean, this
I thought it was a
tougher.
much tougher spot, I agree, but he does worry me a little bit. He was very lucky to win last time. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Very lucky. And he could have been 3rd or 4th best in there, but he did get it done. It's always fun when a 4-horse photo, a horse wins by a neck, who's an overbet favorite. The horse that you have on top, Spun in One, we'll look at his last race. My problem with him is he is not very reliable. And I know he ran a big fig last time, but you think Disarmed is too slow, except for his last fig. All of his recent races before that, they're all too slow. And he's not reliable, this horse.
I just hope he's rounding back into form. Last time out was a better effort, too.
Oh, yeah, no, he ran terrific
Yeah,
last
they
time.
were
No
well
doubt about
clear
it.
of the group. Maybe he's getting back to his better. I mean, American
To win off
Monarchs,
this race.
yeah.
I'm not knocking him.
Yeah, American Monarch's solid, for Bill Mott right now. I guess if you go back to the 90 last year in September, you can say he's
Right,
there.
but
the
he's
91.
not reliable.
Right,
He
he's
doesn't.
in
You
and
can't.
out.
Where is he following up these races? And he was in good form and all something else. He was in better form in a different barn. And he's David Jacobson. Can we trust him?
Well, that's the other thing,
Do
too.
horses in David's barn round into form, or do they randomly run a big race and then run a bad one after it?
It's possible. We'll see what happens. I think he's going to
That's
run a
the
big one. I
problem.
hope he's going to pair them back to back today and see what happens.
Yeah,
But
I can see
he
him
can win.
winning. I can see a lot of horses winning. I don't love Listen to Your Heart. Maybe the moisture in the track will help this horse's chances.
Well, I mean, Listen to Your Heart. I mean, you have to runs best when everything's perfect for this horse, and I don't think it's going to be perfect for this horse today.
I agree.
So-
I thought this was a bit of a tougher
Yeah.
field. I know he has some big figs, but I wonder a little about some of them. Listen, Stolen Base can win. The problem is moisture in the track.
Yeah.
He is a horse that runs better when there's a dry track. So I can't really make him off his wet track races, but the track is drying. What if the track is drier by then? I don't know how much moisture is in it. He's very dangerous in that case.
two starts back makes him dangerous. And I mean, last time, listen, I know he doesn't like the wet track. He was compromised by it anyway, by the way the track played, wasn't it? Yeah, he was.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Not really.
he'll have a target today, that's for sure. He'll have some speed to run into.
Well, I see, you seem to think there's a lot of speed in this race. I don't. And he's certainly not going to get the kind of contentious pace he got 2 back. Where is all the speed in this race?
You don't think Joey Freshwater is going to get sent from the outside? Disarm's going to be going from the inside?
I like Joey Freshwater, but I don't think he's going to be gunning after Disarmed. I think he's going to be sitting 2nd or 3rd. I hope he is. But I do want to give him another chance. I thought he ran extremely well off the layoff to win that race. And then last time, he was not good. Now, there is an argument that the rail was good, at least early in the day. So he was wide against the track a little bit. This was one where it was a gold rail early and a dead rail late and somewhere else in the middle. So I can give him a little excuse. It was also his second off a layoff. I thought if he got back to that race, which was improvement off last year, he could be interesting stalking, and I don't like disarmed. So even though disarms the speed, I'm hoping he can take over and beat him. This is, I mean, look at David's line here. I don't think he has any conviction on who's going to be favored.
Yeah, no.
And he obviously has, I mean, the horses go from 5 to 2 to 5 to 1. So
Yeah.
he's got everybody in there somewhere.
No, you could make a case for everyone. I mean,
Even Twisted Ride has
Yeah.
races good enough.
Good enough to do it. I'm not sure he could do it if the track stays with moisture in it, but he's run good races all last year. He had a good campaign last year.
I looked up his trainer, 4 to 8 month layoffs in dirt sprints. He's 5 for 22, 23% with a 382 ROI. I don't think I sent that one in. If I don't know, I did not send that one in. But nonetheless, he seemed to do well, and he can win. I don't think, right, I agree with David's line. I don't think there's an impossible player in this race.
No, I agree. Like, you could go many different directions in here.
Yep. See what happens. Race number 8. Well, Irish Tenor, we'll take a look at him.
Yeah.
You have on top and I have second. He's way the horse to beat. I don't know how he managed to lose, but he did lose to a horse that was a very live first-time starter.
Yeah, it was a live first-time start. He went a little too fast, too quickly in here, and I think he got a little tired for it and paid the price for it. Buyers have been going up on this horse. This horse has ran well in the last 2 starts, just hasn't finished the job off. It bothers me a little bit he didn't win last time, but when you look at what's in this field, if you don't care for really any of the firsters, him and Romantic Charmer are
A lot of the
horses
firsters
that you
are gone,
Yeah.
and, you know,
that you were gonna
unfortunately,
play.
like the 1A, well, I can't play him because he's an entry with a horse that I don't like at all, that has
Yeah.
the look of a Clement horse that's kind of prepping to get back on the turf, because you know those Union Rags, they're lawnmowers. I just kind of want to take Romantic Charmer, who's getting
Yeah.
back in with New York breds. He chased Proprietary Trade, who could well be favored in the Bayshore on Saturday. I don't think he ran that badly, sort of allowing Laser Sharp, who was probably co-favored and favorite in there, to suck up for second. I just take him getting back with New York breds, and Irish Tenor's had his chances, but I have nothing
Yeah.
against Irish Tenor. And, you know, after that, you're sort of, as you say, left with firsters. Now, Bosun, who I scratched into for 4th, I'm always scared of Joe Sharp. Having said that, his first-time starters, overall in dirt sprints, he's 12 for 125 with first-time starters, $1 ROI. That's everywhere. And Joe's a trainer that wins.
Yeah.
And at Naira, he's 1 for 14. That winner was actually in Saratoga this summer. So he's just not a trainer that wins with a lot of dirt sprinters first time out. And the thing is, with the 2 and 7 in this race, this horse is going to have to be okay to win. Those horses may not be major stake horses, but they're not bad.
No, they can run, and Romantic Charmer looks so much more professional too second time out than he did first time out.
He
too,
actually
so-
ran okay first time
Yeah,
out.
you
His
know,
first race was good. So.
Yeah, so I mean, in his second start, he really improved off of that effort. So I mean, with what's left after that, I know I put Price's True third in here, but I mean, Boss Tweed I gave a little bit of a look to as a first or two. I mean, just with what's left in here, at least the last one was
Because?
good. There was, honestly, to be honest with you, Gary's had put a few over that have been first-time starters in the past, and what's left
Well,
in here? What's left?
He won with
in
an
the race-
aberrant first-time starter in a stake race that was basically eased in 2 subsequent starts. This
If-
horse did work 10 flat at the 2-year-old sale last year. I don't know. I'm not a barn I'm going to take. They just have had such
I mean,
limited success.
I'm on the bottom in here. I just wanted to go with horses that ran after some of the firsters that I was looking at ended up scratching out.
See what happens in race number 8. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code BONUS200, and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Check out the track stats when you're over there as well. We also have the Pick 6 carryover, $42,323 in the Pick 6 carryover. We have is cross country next? Yes, it is. Aqueduct 6, then 6 and 7 at Oaklawn, the 8th here, and then the 8th at Oaklawn. All those races will be shown on America's Day at the Races, which is full cards going forward throughout the year. Big 3, Pick 3, and all the final Derby preps, the major Derby preps. I guess you could run the Lexington for some reason and use that, but that's a 20-point race. It doesn't really matter, for the Derby at least. It may matter a great deal for other things. Big 3, Pick 3, $3 minimum. That'll be Saturday, covering those 3 races. The Wood being the first one, of course, post time around 4:10. Early on Saturday, I think first post 11:32. We'll be on from 11:30 to 4:30 through the Wood Memorial. Also, America's Day at the Races, 1 to 6 on FS2. Paul, thank you again. Thank you for watching. And thank you, Chris Griffin, for coming up next, the reprise, the Scratch and Changes. Have a great day.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.